Qudrat's wife, AsSuAla, was lying in her room. A very terrifying demon appeared above her and told her that he intended to make her his slave. The demon was touching her in a very seductive manner. This scene occurred simultaneously when QODRAT was performing an exorcism on his son. QODRAT's son was possessed by AsSuAla, who is presented as being highly terrifying, arguably the direct descendant of Satan. A second demon who was distracting AsSuAla was named ZHADUQ, and he is a minion of AsSuAla. ZHADUQ is depicted as the king of the jinns. ZHADUQ told AsSuAla that he would kill her son, Alif, and take him away to hell. Suddenly, ZHADUQ vanished. AsSuAla then got up and noticed that she was bleeding, but she ignored this and broke down the door. She saw QODRAT performing an exorcism, trying his best to save their son. This was the scene from the first movie, shown in detail. AsSuAla was trying to assist QODRAT from a distance, but it proved ineffective, as Satan AsSuAla was overpowering him. ZHADUQ then told AsSuAla that he would save her son, but in exchange she would have to stay with him. If she refused, he threatened to take her son to hell. AsSuAla felt she had no other option, so she agreed to the demon, asking him to take her and leave her son. Upon hearing her agreement, ZHADUQ killed QODRAT's son by breaking his neck. This action confirmed that the failure of QODRAT's exorcism was not due to his own lack of ability, but rather due to his wife AsSuAla. She had made a deal, but the outcome was reversed. Jinns, demons, and Satan are notoriously untrustworthy and great liars. ZHADUQ, the jinn, had played a trick and did not honor his promise. This is characteristic of a demon, as they have no principles, and only their victory and the acquisition of souls matter to them. ZHADUQ was victorious and brought AsSuAla under his control. AsSuAla was deeply broken by this outcome and blamed herself entirely. Following these events, QODRAT separated from his wife. At the end of the first movie, QODRAT embarked on a journey to find out what had happened to his wife, perhaps thinking she had not survived. After Alif's death, QODRAT was sentenced to 3 years in prison, and he had received no information about his wife during that period. The sequel story continues from that point. QODRAT first went to Master Kai in his village, who held letters written by AsSuAla. While QODRAT was incarcerated, AsSuAla wrote letters and sent them to Ustad Kai, and these letters were intended to help QODRAT learn about her. In her letters, AsSuAla expressed her initial guilt. She wanted QODRAT to forgive her for her actions and prayed daily to God for forgiveness for her sins. During the time these letters were written, AsSuAla was institutionalized because she had become mentally ill. She was experiencing immense guilt due to her sins and the trauma of her son's death, causing her to lose all hope. AsSuAla was happy to learn that QODRAT was soon to be released from jail. She attempted to pray but could not, having lost her faith after making the deal with the demon. She eventually went to meet QODRAT. While she was there, the warden became frantic, behaving strangely and attacking the prisoners. This warden was possessed by AsSuAla, as was shown in the first part. The warden also tried to kill QODRAT. When 2 guards went inside, AsSuAla seized the opportunity and followed them. The same demon told her that her husband was the next victim. She was frightened by this. Moving further, she witnessed the warden hanging QODRAT with chains, and QODRAT was killed. AsSuAla recognized that the warden was possessed by the same demon who had killed her son. There is some narrative confusion, as AsSuAla was shown in the first part, but here ZHADUQ is mentioned. However, the narrative clarifies that this danger stems from a single dangerous demon, and the story is currently being recounted from AsSuAla's perspective. AsSuAla believed, based on what she saw, that her husband was truly dead. However, the reality was that QODRAT returned to life. His faith was restored, and Allah sent his soul back, giving him another chance. It is assumed AsSuAla was unaware of this truth, and seeing his apparent death left her heartbroken. The story shifts to the present time. QODRAT visits his home in his hometown. He is sad as he sees visions of his wife and child. He desperately wants to find out how his wife died, or if she died at all. He reads the subsequent letter, which reveals AsSuAla was severely distraught after witnessing QODRAT's death. One day, 2 of her friends, sisters named Murni and Pawanti, came to her. They brought AsSuAla along and helped her secure a job at a factory where they also worked. AsSuAla learned the work, and her 2 friends became very close to her. Tragically, Murni died during a night shift. Upon learning this, QODRAT immediately sets off for the factory, hoping to gather more information about his wife. Meanwhile, a girl named Shri, who lives at the factory, goes to bathe. She hears the demon's sounds and sees the demon pursuing her. She hides in a bathroom where a shower was running. Suddenly, blood began flowing from the shower and she screamed loudly. This was actually Shri experiencing a nightmare. Outside the dream, she was sleepwalking. Her companions, including Aziza, confirming Aziza was still alive, woke her up. The security chief arrives and forcibly attempts to remove Shri. Others tried to intervene, but he pushed them away, claiming the manager needed to see Shri due to an issue with her work report. However, his aggressive manner suggested a different reason for taking her. Pawanti tried to stop him, but was pushed aside. He then locks all the women in the shelter until morning. The women who work at the factory also reside there, depending on the factory for food and accommodation, indicating it is a necessity for them. Aziza, however, was content to stay, viewing the situation as her penance, guilt, or punishment. The security chief takes Shri to the machine shelter and locks the door. Purwanti begins searching Shri's bag. She explains to the others that after Morni's death, they discovered something in her bag, a shroud. The shroud had strange symbols and Arabic script printed on it, which was a devil's note. Finding such items near the dead indicated that sacrifices were taking place inside the factory. The factory workers were Satan worshippers and performed sacrifices of girls. This means that diabolical activities were occurring. Pawanti had figured this out herself, though few others knew. Shri is alone in the factory. The demon ZHADUQ appears before her because someone else in the factory was praying to him. ZHADUQ possesses Shri and forces her to put her mouth into a machine. Shri complies and is killed, completing her sacrifice. ZHADUQ is dangerous, and it is implied that he arrived with Aziza. Aziza also finds a shroud in her belongings, suggesting she was the next intended victim. She shows it to Purwanti. The script on the shroud was not from the verses of the Quran. They both burn the shroud. QODRAT arrives near the factory. He first prays. After praying, he hears sounds. He investigates and finds a man being harassed by factory guards and workers. QODRAT intervenes and stops them. He demonstrates his fighting skills against 1 or 2 men, causing the others to flee in fear. QODRAT sits down to share food with the man. More factory workers arrive, pointing out QODRAT as the man looking for his wife. These guards had been dispatched by the factory owner to stop him. QODRAT, being very strong, easily defeats all of them. Their power was insignificant compared to QODRAT's. After the fight, QODRAT notices an oil drum about to explode. A guard was nearby, and QODRAT saves him. The rescued man introduces himself as Sukardi. Sukardi tells QODRAT that his wife and her sister worked at the factory. Sukardi explains that his wife, Morni, died in an accident inside the factory. Sukardi found the incident suspicious. QODRAT asks for the exact date of the accident. Sukardi does not know the exact date, as he had not yet accepted his wife's death. 2 shopkeepers nearby discuss another accident at the factory. Their conversation reveals that such accidents happen frequently, which is considered strange. They discuss a previous worker's accident, relating these incidents to the devil and believing they are part of a sacrifice. Rumor suggests that a ritual was performed during the factory's construction, involving cutting off a buffalo's head and burying it beneath the structure. This ritual is associated with black magic, performed when making a deal with the devil. It is suspected the factory owner did this to boost his business. The factory owner and his right-hand man are shown. The guards defeated by QODRAT report that a man is looking for his wife, though they don't know which wife. They suggested they could use the wife's name to blackmail him. The owner dismisses this, saying it is unnecessary. It is revealed that the owner had placed an item related to black magic near Sukardi. QODRAT and Sukardi are driving in Sukardi's truck toward the factory. Sukardi begins smoking, and the smoke irritates QODRAT. QODRAT asks to drive, but Sukardi refuses and continues on. Sukardi was not driving toward the factory road. QODRAT realizes that Sukardi is possessed by a demon. QODRAT immediately attempts an exorcism, but the demon resists. QODRAT asks the demon's name, and with great difficulty, the demon reveals its name, Sharkwan. QODRAT asks Sharkwan who sent him and his purpose. Sharkwan states that ZHADUQ sent him, and his motive is to mislead all humans and turn them away from their faith. QODRAT continues the exorcism process, but they crash. QODRAT emerges from the truck with a dislocated shoulder, which he fixes himself. He completes the exorcism and defeats the demon. Sukardi regains consciousness. Qudrat examines the cigarette box and finds an amulet inside. This amulet, placed by the factory owner, was the reason for the jinn, Sharkwan, being there. The owner had claimed to have taken care of Sukadi, but he didn't know that Qudrat, a very skilled exorcist, was with him. Purwanti and AsSuAla discuss the situation. AsSuAla suggests they find other employment, but Purwanti insists on staying to expose the factory. AsSuAla agrees. AsSuAla asks about their plan. Purwanti explains that the owner and others meet in an empty building behind the factory, and they might find answers there. They leave and quietly enter the building. Qudrat and Sukadi are also headed there. Sukadi distracts the guards. Qudrat hides under their vehicle to enter the building. Qudrat then goes inside and fights the guards. AsSuAla and Purwanti secretly listen to the owner praying to the ZHADUQ demon. The owner says he receives wealth in exchange for human sacrifices. This confirms Purwanti's suspicions. They see ZHADUQ and flee in fear. The owner hears them and sends guards after them. AsSuAla injures her leg while running. AsSuAla tells Purwanti to escape, but Purwanti initially refuses to leave her. AsSuAla insists and Purwanti runs away. AsSuAla struggles forward and Qudrat suddenly appears. Qudrat is overjoyed to find AsSuAla alive. AsSuAla is happy but surprised to see her husband alive, though she is overwhelmed by guilt. The thugs arrive, and Qudrat defeats them, taking AsSuAla away. They go to the factory and speak privately after Qudrat heals her leg injury. AsSuAla asks how he is alive, as she saw him die with her own eyes. Qudrat confirms that his death was real. AsSuAla had intended for him to die. However, the Almighty had a different plan, saving him, returning his soul, and granting him a second chance. AsSuAla claims she doesn't deserve a second chance due to her actions. Qudrat assures her that the Almighty is merciful and forgives, and will surely forgive her. She confesses her sin. She had asked the demon for their son Alif's safety, instead of asking the Almighty. Qudrat comforts her, emphasizing that the Almighty will forgive her, as everyone makes mistakes. Purwanti informs the other workers that AsSuAla is in danger. They all decide to organize a protest. The factory owner confronts Qudrat and AsSuAla. The owner knew Qudrat, aware he had died and returned to life, having obtained this information from AsSuAla's data. They capture both of them. AsSuAla is bound, and Qudrat is tied to a chair. The owner provokes Qudrat, asking what kind of ustad he is if he couldn't even save his son. This angers Qudrat, but he is helpless. The owner receives a phone call from his right-hand man, warning him that the protesting ladies are demanding action for AsSuAla and that he should use ZHADUQ's help quickly. The owner first stabs Qudrat, then leaves to summon ZHADUQ. Meanwhile, the demon ZHADUQ possesses AsSuAla. He takes her to a machine and compels her to put her mouth into it. Qudrat, having survived the stabbing, arrives and rescues his wife. The guards try to stop the protesting female employees. The owner prays to strengthen ZHADUQ's powers. Suddenly, all the women become possessed simultaneously by ZHADUQ. These possessed women begin attacking everyone. Sukadi was fighting on behalf of the women, unaware they were possessed. Qudrat and AsSuAla arrive. Qudrat starts exorcising the women one by one. The demon ZHADUQ was controlling them from a distance. Qudrat defeats ZHADUQ using his faith, bringing an end to the owner's scheme. The owner's right-hand man tries to flee but is caught by Sukadi and Purwanti. Qudrat engages the owner in a long fight and kills him. Qudrat and AsSuAla return home. AsSuAla asks Qudrat if the Almighty will forgive her. Qudrat asks her to pray. As she prays, she exhibits a strange smile. The demon ZHADUQ had not departed. He was still possessing her. He fully possesses her. Qudrat realizes this and intervenes. The demon, speaking through AsSuAla, threatens to take her to hell. He tries to manipulate Qudrat into joining AsSuAla. Qudrat pretends to agree to AsSuAla's demand, but continues to pray. AsSuAla is also praying. This causes AsSuAla, who is the main demon and ZHADUQ's disciple, to weaken. The demon weakens further upon hearing the prayer and falls. The weakened ZHADUQ demon calls upon his master, AsSuAla. AsSuAla is the main demon from the first movie, whom Qudrat had previously defeated. AsSuAla demonstrates his power, causing furniture in the house to fly. Sharp objects start moving toward Qudrat. AsSuAla steps in front of Qudrat to save him, sacrificing herself and dying in the process. Before departing, the demon vows to inflict suffering upon everyone Qudrat loves. This signifies his intention to attack QODRAT's village, where QODRAT had just restored order. The demon leaves. AsSuAla was severely injured and near death, which is perhaps God's will. As she is dying, AsSuAla asks if she was worthy of love. QODRAT confirms that she was. QODRAT recites prayers to her as she dies. The scene changes to QODRAT burying AsSuAla outside their home. Both terrifying demons have now reached QODRAT's village. Ki senses their arrival. The demon has arrived at Alif's house. This child is the wheelchair-bound boy from the first movie whom QODRAT had rescued. Yasmin notices that Asha is missing from the house. Asha is shown imprisoned elsewhere. The major twist is that Alif is also imprisoned there. The Alif present at Yasmin's house is actually the demon AsSuAla in his true form. AsSuAla attacks Alif's mother. QODRAT is seen heading toward the village to save them. This ending necessitates the creation of the QODRAT 3 movie. The movie concludes at this point. The story of QODRAT 2 finishes, but a sequel, QODRAT 3, is definite because AsSuAla is seeking revenge. He is consumed by the desire for vengeance against QODRAT for defeating him and his disciple. It remains to be seen how QODRAT will manage to save everyone from the demon again. Both AsSuAla and ZHADUQ will now jointly terrorize the village. How QODRAT will overcome the combined power of the two demons is unknown. QODRAT is also mourning his wife, and the demons may exploit his grief against him. The film contains impressive action sequences. The premise is straightforward. Demons hate QODRAT and want to conquer his village to defeat him. Part 3 will show how QODRAT saves them. There is a possibility of another twist, perhaps related to AsSuAla making another deal.